Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome to our series finale of our Atlanta Thrashers franchise mode. So in last episode we simulated the entire season simulation, and it was kind of an up and down season as we finished 43, 27, 5, and 7, and we're going to be taking on the Boston Bruins here in the first round. And if we beat them, then we're going to just continue to record this entire video of the entire playoff matchup. So even if we all get all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals, this episode is just going to be the entire playoff run, and then we're going to do a little bit of a recap afterwards and take a look at all the records across the league and all that sort of thing. So that will be a good little send-off to this entire series. So hopefully we could win a Stanley Cup in this episode, because that would be the ultimate way to end the series. And yeah, pretty much that's that. We are going to be taking on Boston, who went 38, 33, 7, and 4 in the regular season, which is not a really good record, but we kind of were a little bit struggling as well ourselves, because we kind of bounced back and forth a lot during the season in terms of wins and losses. As you can see, like, there's a lot of losses in a row in some stages, like from here to here we lost a lot of games. And then, like, right at the end of the season, we went on a nice 3-game winning streak, but there's been a lot of, like, ups and downs throughout the year. So hopefully this last season we could somehow be a little bit more consistent going into the playoffs and win a Stanley Cup, because it's been a couple of years since we've won one, and hopefully we could win two, because then this series would be more successful than my Detroit one. So but before we get simulating, let's take a look at what the Boston Bruins roster looks like again, just in case you guys forget. And then I'll also show you guys our roster going into this matchup. And then we will start the first round, and hopefully we could beat Boston, and hopefully we could get onto the second round and continue simulating, because we're just going to keep going until we get knocked out. So the first line for the Bruins is comprised of Franzen, Bobkov, and McCarron. So I don't mind this first line, because Bobkov, he does have some good offensive awareness and good passing and all that sort of thing. So this guy might actually be a decent offensive player for his overall. Franzen's pretty good as well, and McCarron's pretty solid. But then you get to, like, their second line onwards, it's not that great. Like, I feel like Jokinen and Punovs are better as third liners. Bell's okay as a second liner, I would say. And then their third line is more of a fourth line, and same with their fourth line is kind of like a fourth line / depth forward line. And then on defense, they're not really that great either. They do have a couple NHL-ready defensemen, so Acker, Versi, Simmons, and Endress. But Johnson and Vernarski are both basically like AHL defenders, so I have no idea why they're in their lineup, but their defensive core isn't too good, to be honest. But their best position, I would say, is probably goaltending. They do have Kari Lettinen, who's a pretty solid backup, and they do have a solid backup in Alvin Brathwaite. And then also they're okay in terms of depth. Like, they have 77s in Almond and Koshrain, and then they also have a 76 in Voloshenko. So it seems like they have no depth defensemen unless they call up somebody from the AHL. So that's their roster. Let me show you guys our roster again, just in case you forget, but you probably don't, considering the roster has been the same for quite a long time. Okay, so our lineup going into this playoff matchup is Malkin, Bergeron, and Kovalchuk as per usual. Our best top line that we probably put together in quite some time. Second line wise, we have Kemp, Furolov, and Don Merritt, who we brought in actually from Boston last year to help us in terms of the playoffs. And he didn't do too bad in the playoffs, but we still got eliminated in the first round. Hopefully he could have another good playoff run this year. And then our third line is also pretty good. We got Brock Bourke still, UC Houghton, and Mike Himalari, so a very solid third line. And then our fourth line also looks pretty good in Pispinen, Soderstrom, and Ivanov. So forward core looks really good for us going into this playoff matchup. And our defensive core also looks pretty good. We got Kondratyov and Wall, Ferguson and Martinez, and Conley and Brody. And goaltending wise, we got Carey Price still and Jackson Robbins. Hopefully Carey Price could start winning games in the first round, because he's been not a really good first or second round goalie. He's been more of a conference final goalie or Stanley Cup final goalie. But if he doesn't simulate well, we could always turn to Jackson Robbins, who had a pretty solid season, I'd say. And then depth-wise, we got Guggenot still, we got Wolsky, and we got Easton Hillen. I might eventually take Soderstrom out of the lineup. I think Soderstrom actually wasn't in the lineup originally, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to keep him in there for now, but I might put Wolsky in and then move Pispin into center, because I think that's how I started the season, but I ended up making a mistake when I was doing the line changes and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's our roster going into this playoff matchup. So let's see if we can knock out the Boston Bruins, or are we going to be eliminated and that will be the end of the series? Hopefully not, because I'd like to win a Stanley Cup in this episode, so it might be a very long episode. If it is, I highly recommend grab a snack or something and sit back, because this could be a long episode if we are to win a Stanley Cup. So let's see what happens here in game one. We got home ice advantage. throughout the entire playoffs for the most part. First period, and we're up 2-1. I like that. Bobkov scores for them. So, like I said, Bobkov isn't actually that bad. He's an 80 overall, but he's got 99 offensive awareness and some good offensive stats. Don Merritt ties it up against his former team, and Pasi Pispinen gives us the lead. Shots are 12-6 in favor of your Thrashers. Second period, and we're up 3-2 as Bourke makes it 3-1, but Kondratyev answers back for them. Shots are 24-15, but it's only a 1-goal game because Carey Price is not playing too great so far. Let's see what happens here in the third period. I just realized we're playing against Kari Lehtinen, who actually played with the Thrashers, so that's kind of cool. Hopefully we can knock him out of the playoffs, though. Final 10 minutes of this third period. Let's hold on to this lead, boys. Penalty kill. Nicely done. Can we get some insurance, please? Final few minutes of game 1, and a big penalty kill at the end, and we're going to take game 1 3-2. We outshot them 32-27 at the end of it, and we win by 1 goal. So Carey Price actually had a pretty strong third period, it seems like. So Don Merritt from Kemp and Conley, Pispinen from Wall and Bergeron, and Bourke from Houghton and Ferguson. So not too bad. Let's take a look at our player stats quickly just to see if there's any badly minus players, which there was only 2 minus players, Malkin and Kovalchuk, who both also had 5 shots in the game. So I'm not going to complain about that. And a good game from Carey Price, actually. Yeah. 926 save percentage and a 2 goals against average. Hopefully he can keep that up in terms of the entire playoffs. So Bourke gets the first star with the game-winning goal. Carey Price gets the second star, and Pispinen the third. So I have a 1-0 series lead. Let's see if we can keep taking advantage of our home ice that we got. We are now technically on a 4-game winning streak, considering we had 3 wins right at the end of the year. Let's see if we can take a 2-0 series lead, headed to Boston. Come on, boys. First period, 1-0 us. I like that. Pispinen again. That fourth line is actually doing pretty good so far for this first round. Wasn't expecting our fourth line to be outscoring our top line, but here we are. Shots are 10-9 in favor of us, so a pretty close first period. Second period, and we're still up 1-0, so Carey Price is playing actually way better than I expected so far. I really hope he can keep it up, though, considering like the last few years in the playoffs, he's been kind of inconsistent. Like, he would play good for a couple games and then play shit for a couple games, and so on like that. Shots are 24-20, but we're up still 1-0. Let's see if we could add some insurance here in the third period. Our power play opportunity, I almost said penalty kill. Power play again. Come on, boys. Let's capitalize on our power play chances. I don't remember if our power play struggled this year or if it was bad. Or if it was good. Oh, there's a goal from Kovalchuk on the power play. Speaking of which, 2-0 us. And we are going to take a 2-0 series lead as Carey Price picks up the shutout. 36 shots to 29 shots for us. A good 29 save shutout for Carey Price. So Pispinen second from Ivanov and Kovalchuk from Kemp. Loving that. Nice. And plus minus. No +2 players. And yeah, good shutout from Carey Price. That's nice. 3 stars of the game. Carey Price the first star. Kari Lehtinen gets second star. He was actually pretty good in keeping them in the game. And Pispinen the third star. So I feel like our offense needs to get going a little bit more, considering we only have 5 goals in 2 games, but we're playing good defensive hockey, which is something we need to keep up if we want to make it far in the playoffs for sure. Game number 3, we're not going to waste any time considering we might have multiple rounds to do in this video. Let's see what happens here in Game 3 in Boston. First period, and we're down 1-0 for the first time in the series as Franzen scores. That's their best overall player. Shots are 12-10 in favor of us, but we're down by 1 goal, so Kari Lehtinen is playing pretty good so far for them. Second period, and we're up 2-1. Let's go. Ferguson and Bergeron. So Bergeron scoring against a team he actually played for. Never played for them in this, but still. And Ferguson gets a goal, which is nice. Ferguson's actually not that bad of a playoff goal scorer, it seems like, but regular season-wise, he doesn't usually score a lot. Shots are 23-17 in favor of us, and we're up 2-1. So once again, Carey Price seems to be playing pretty solid. Let's see what happens here in the third period. If we could hold this lead, and McCarron scores a power play goal for Boston. It's a 2-2 game now. Power play opportunity for us. We don't score on it. Come on, boys. Let's get that lead back. Final few minutes here of this third period in Game 3. Penalty kill. This is a crucial penalty kill, and we killed it off. Nicely done. And we are going to overtime in game number 3 in Boston. The shots are 32-23 in favor of us, so we're definitely carrying the flow of the game. Hopefully we can win this one, or is Letnin going to shut down the door on us? Come on, boys. Let's get that game-winning goal. Penalty kill early into overtime. We kill it off. We get a power play of our own, and we don't convert on it. And there we're going to win in overtime as Punov scores for Boston, and it's a 2-1 series lead now for us. Shots in that game were 35-28, but Carey Price just could not get the win in that one. So Ferguson from Himalari and Houghton, and Bergeron from Kovalchuk and Malkin. So our only 2 goals coming in the second period of that game. Not going to make any line changes yet unless we lose another game, but and a couple minus players. And oh, that's actually for Boston. Why did I look at Boston? Any minus players for us in this game? Yeah, we got a couple minus players, so it looks like mainly the second line, first line, and third line. So I don't know where all these guys are playing together, but Brody and Conley were the minus guys. And yeah, not a great game from Carey Price. Like, goals against wise, pretty good. Save percentage could be improved a bit. And 3 stars in that game. Punovs gets first star. He actually had 3 points that game, so their top line definitely did some damage. And then Franzen also had 3 points, and Letnin the 3rd star. So looks like we need to shut down their top line because that's their main cause of offense in the series so far. Also want to let you guys know that I'm back on my Series X, so yeah, content is going to go back to normal pretty much, and speed of my videos should be a lot better than what they were on my Xbox One, because my Xbox One was pretty slow. So anyways, let's get into game number 4 and see if we could take a 3-1 series lead here, or are we going to have a tie series headed back home? Come on, boys. Let's have a good bounce back game. First period, 1-1. Okay, I'll take that. UC Jokinen opened the scoring for them on the power play, but we answer with a shorthanded goal exactly 2 minutes later from Evgeny Malkin. Shots are 16-11 in favor of Boston, so we're giving them a lot of opportunities in that opening period. Hopefully we can play a little bit better defensively in the second and kind of limit their chances. Second period, still 1-1. Shots are still close, 25-23. But it's a 1-1 game, so both goalies are playing pretty good so far in this one. Let's see what happens here in the third. Come on, boys. We need to get our offense going again. Penalty kill. Nicely done. Come on. There you go. Furolov scores. I love that. Power play opportunity. We don't score. But there's a goal from Kovalchuk as the Russians are scoring here in the third. We're up 3-1. Bergeron makes it 4-1. Our top guns are coming out at the right time. And we are going to take a 3-1 series lead headed home on the Boston Bruins. Shots were 37-35 in that game, so a good bounce back game from Carey Price, and we win 4-1. So Malkin from Martinez and Ivanov, Furolov from Kemp and Wall, Kovalchuk from Malkin, and Bergeron from Kovalchuk and Malkin. So a lot of Russians on the score sheet in that game. Let's take a look at our player stats, quickly run through this. So yeah, Malkin had 3 points that game, Kovalchuk had 2, Ivanov had 1. If you wanted to keep tabs on the Russians, and Furolov had 1. +3 as well for Malkin, which is nice. No minus players in that game, and Carey Price had a really strong game. 3 stars of the game. Carey Price gets first star, Malkin the 2nd star, and Kovalchuk the 3rd. So we are 1 win away from going back to the second round, which would be nice considering we lost last year in round 1 in 7 games to the Pittsburgh Penguins, who went on to win the Stanley Cup. Let's see if we could win this series here on home ice back at the Phillips Arena. Let's see if we can win it in 5 games. First period, and it's a tie game after 1 again. I think that's the same thing as it's been for like the last 3 games now so far. So Houghton opened the scoring. I believe that's his first of the playoffs, and Franzen scores for them. So we definitely need to keep that top line off the score sheet. Shots are 18-7 in favor of us, so not a great period for Carey Price. 1 goal on 7 shots. Great period for our offense in terms of getting chances, but Letnin is playing really good right now. Second period, and we're down 3-1. Carey Price is having his worst game of the series. 3 goals on 17 shots now. He might have got replaced at this rate, I don't know. But 3 goals on 17 shots isn't too good. We only have 1 goal on 33 shots through 2 periods. Like, we're going to easily probably crack like 40 shots in this game, but we only have 1 goal to show for it right now. So Franzen scored with his 2nd of the night, and then Jokinen makes it 3-1 on the power play. So our penalty kill needs to improve a little bit, I think, in this series. I might need to make some adjustments to it. I think I recommended that at the end of last video, but I didn't end up doing it. Let's see what happens here in the third period if we could get back in this game, or are we going to go back to Boston for a Game 6 situation? And we get a power play goal early into the third, which is good from Merritt, but they get a power play goal back from McCarron to make it a 4-2 game. Power play opportunity for us. We don't score on it. Oh, there's a goal from Ivanov to make it a 1-goal game with 5:50 left in this 4-3 game. Can we tie it up? No, we cannot. We are going to a Game 6 situation. We had 46 shots in that game. We had a better third period than the rest of the periods, but just not enough to get this game tied up. That goal from McCarron is the game-winning goal. It's kind of a ball buster, too, because it was like a minute later after Merritt had scored to tie the game. But yeah, we doubled them in shots, but we lost still. So goals we got is Houghton from Himalari and Bourke, Merritt from Bergeron and Pispinen, and then Ivanov from Houghton and Bourke. Any badly minus players in that game? Not really, actually. A couple -1s, but no -2 players, which is nice. And yeah, that was the worst game from Carey Price he's had this playoff run so far. Hopefully he can bounce back from that, because if he doesn't, we're going to go to a Game 7. So Franzen gets first star with 3 points. Bobkov gets second star with 3 points, and McCarron the third star with 1 goal. Yeah, we definitely got to shut down their top line, because they won them that game again. Like, they have the skill level to be able to win games for their teams, so we need to shut down that top line. Martinez was never injured, right? It was just a day-to-day thing? Yeah, it was. Okay. I might have to put Wolsky back in at some point. I don't know. We'll see what happens in Game 6, but let's get into Game 6 and see if we could take this series in 6 games, or are we going to a Game 7? I hope we don't go to a Game 7. First period, 1-1. Okay, I'll take that, I guess. Malkin scores early, but less than a minute later, Bobkov scores again. Bobkov is actually really good for an 80 overall. Like I was saying, his 99 offensive awareness actually might make him a threat, and he's turning out to be pretty much a big threat in the series. Shots are 12-10 in favor of us, but it's a 1-1 game. Second period, and we're up 4-1. That's what I'm talking about. Malkin, Kovalchuk, and Himalari. Loving to see that. Shots are 25-17. It looks like we are going to be able to win the series in 6 games unless we collapse, which for Narski makes it 4-2 early to start the third, which is kind of scary. And then we get another goal from Don Merritt on the power play to make it 5-2. Penalty kill, nicely done. Final 10 minutes of this third period. Yeah, well, it looks like we're going to be going to the second round with a nice... Oh, wait, I don't want to count my chickens yet. Okay, we're going to win 6-3. Okay, good. So Kondrativ made it 5-3, but Ferguson gets the empty netter, and we're going to win 6-3 and head to the second round. Shots were 38-30 in that game for us. But a good offensive game. Not a great game again from Carey Price, but hopefully he bounces back in the second round. So Malkin from Kovalchuk, Malkin from Pispinen and Bourke, Kovalchuk from Malkin, Merritt from Pispinen and Houghton, and Ferguson from Houghton and Ivanov. Not too bad. Any super badly minus players in that game? Only a couple. Actually, only one, really. Kemp was a -2, and Soderstrom was a -1. And yeah, not a great game from Carey Price, but better than his previous game. Malkin gets first star, Bobkov the second star, and Houghton in the third. So that is the first round completed. Who are we going to be facing in the second round of the playoffs? And then we'll take a look at our player stats after the first round quickly. We're going to be taking on the New York Islanders. Oh, man. I believe the Islanders were one of the top teams in the league this season, so this is going to be a really tough one if that is the case. They won their first round in 7 games. So let's just take a quick look at our player stats, and then we'll take a look at how the Islanders finished the season, and also take a look at their lineup quickly, because I don't want this episode to be super long for you guys, considering it's a finale. So Malkin, Houghton, and both had 7 points. A really good series from Houghton, actually. Kovalchuk was good. In general, it looks like our offense was pretty good in terms of forwards, and then defensively, +5 for Wall, which is nice, and Kondrativ. So our top pairing was out there for a lot of goals for. And then Carey Price was really good in that first round, which doesn't happen too often. So hopefully he continues that in round number 2. Let's take a look at what... actually, let me take a look at the standings first, just because I'm curious on how the Islanders finished the season. I think they were a high-up team, right? Or maybe that was Detroit, actually. Never mind. Yeah, they finished below us in the standings. They finished 38, 28, and 14. They had 274 goals, 236 goals against. Power play percentage was really good, 25%. And their penalty kill percentage was not that great at 79.9. Interesting. So basically they're better than us at the power play. And then goals against wise, they were better than us defensively during the regular season. And goals for wise, we were better. Okay. Let's see what their lineup looks like quickly, and then we will get into round number 2 and see if we can knock out the Islanders and get to the conference finals. That would be nice to get back there. So the New York Islanders top line, Edwin Klubertons, 25-year-old, and then Hudson Bonvie, who's also 25, and Peter Olvecki. So that's a really solid first line, way better than Boston's was. Second line-wise, they got Joseph Motzko, who's not really that great, with Matthew Savoy and Marcus Henriksen. So a solid second line, except for Motzko. Third line, they got Rocky Wallace, which is a cool name. Also Hugo Dupuis and Eric Simon, so a kind of more of a fourth line. And then they still have Aaron Asham after all these years, which is kind of surprising. And Sergei Safronov and Jordan Eaton. Has Aaron Asham always been there? No, he returned back to the Islanders, actually. Because he started this franchise mode in the Islanders, and then he came back. I forgot we actually had him for a little bit, too. It was like a short bit. Defensively, they got Tristan Lysak and Bernard Boussier, who's a very good defenseman. I really like their defensive core, way better than Boston-wise. Jackson Rodriguez is on their second pairing with Daniil Chaka, and third pairing they got Jeff Stewart and Wilson Steves. That's a way better defensive core. Yeah, this team is going to be a little bit tougher. I'm still not a huge fan of their bottom 6, but yeah, this team is definitely a lot better than the Bruins were. And then George Lefebvre is their starting goalie. I believe this guy's won some Vezinas in the past, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it was last year he won a Vezina, because he went 46-16 that year. And then his playoff numbers so far are not too bad. They're not anything fantastic-wise, and he's never won a Stanley Cup so far. And then they also have Joel Serrata as their backup, so they're a pretty solid goalie. And depth-wise, they got Simon Burrows, Jamison Dembski, and Olli Rasanen. So solid depth, solid defensive core, solid goaltending combinations, and an average offense. So I could see why they finished worse than us in terms of offense, but better defensively. So let's get into the second round against the New York Islanders and see if we can knock them out like we did against the Bruins, and see if we can make it back to that conference finals. So here we go, game number 1 on home ice, because we got home ice advantage again, which is nice. Let's see what happens. First period, and it's scoreless. I'll take that. Shots are 11-9 in favor of the Islanders, but it is still an even period, which is good for Carey Price. Second period, and we're up 2-0. I like that. Ivanov and Merritt score. The shots are 21 apiece, but we're up 2-0. So a pretty even game for the most part, I guess you could say. But we're up 2-0. Let's see what happens here in the third period. Come on, boys. Let's take this game 1 and lock it down. But it seems like Carey Price is playing a lot better than he has been in previous years in terms of first rounds and second rounds so far. Penalty kill, and they break the shutout as Olvecki scores. And of course, after I say that, they have to score 2 goals in the third period when I say Carey Price was playing good. And are you kidding me? They complete the comeback in the third period in the final 5 minutes and 55 seconds. And we're going to lose 3-2 in game 1. I did not see that coming at all. Damn, shots were 32-30 in favor of the Islanders. They came back in that third period and take a game on the road, which is kind of scary. So Merritt from Kemp and Furolov, Ivanov from Pispin and Soderstrom, and we just did not score. And their top guys came out and scored some goals in that third period. Any badly minus players in that game? No, only a couple -1s. And yeah, it was a solid game still from Carey Price, but he really played bad in that third period. Lefebvre is going to get first star, Merritt gets the second star, and Boussier to third. But if we lose the next game, I might have to make some line adjustments going back to New York. We did have an injury in the minors. I thought that was an NHL injury for a second, and I got really worried. But yeah, hopefully we could have a good bounce back game here. If for some reason we lose this game, I might put Wolsky in and take out somebody like Soderstrom in the lineup, I think. Just because I think Wolsky's a little bit better defensively, but I could be wrong with that. But let's get into game number 2. Still on home ice, so let's have at least a tie series headed back to New York, because if we're down 0-2, things are not looking pretty good. First period, and it's scoreless again. Okay, I'll take that. Shots, though, were 15-5 in favor of them, so a very strong period from Carey Price. But our offense really needs to get more chances, and our defense needs to limit those opportunities a lot more. Second period, and we're down 3-1 again. Oh my god. They score 3 goals, Dupuis, Asham, and Lysak. Yeah, Carey Price is having a really rough second round. I might have to turn to Jackson Robbins next game. Kovalchuk gets us a goal late to pull us within 2. Shots are 23-17, so they are a little bit closer to opportunities, but we're still down by 2 goals, which is not good going into the third period. Third period underway. Let's see if we could tie this one up, or are we going to lose another game on home ice? But I think I might go to Jackson Robbins for next game because Carey Price seems to be maybe a little bit too tired. Come on, boys. Let's get 2 goals here. Doesn't look like we're going to score at all in this game almost. Yep, we're not going to get another one. So Stewart makes it 4-1, and that is the final as we got outshot 32-23 in that game, and we lose 4-1 in game 2. We're not off to a good start this round at all. So Kovalchuk from Malkin and Bergeron is our only goal. Hopefully we can play better on the road, but we're going to have to make some line adjustments for sure after that one. Yeah, 5 -2 players, and everybody else wasn't minus. So it was just that second line that was out there for a lot of goals. And Jackson Robbins actually came in and replaced Carey Price and made saves on every single opportunity. So Lysak, Lefebvre, and Asham are the 3 starters. So, yeah, I think I'm definitely going to make some line adjustments going into Game 3. Because our offense is not off to a great start, and then our defense definitely isn't. So I got to change up this second line considering everybody on this was a minus. So I think I'll move Himalari. How good has Don Merritt been? 4 goals in 8 games. I could move Furolov down, but I don't really want to move Furolov down. I think I'm definitely going to take out Soderstrom, though, and do what I was mentioning before, and that is throwing in Wolsky, just to change things up a little bit. Swap Ivanov and Himalari, just because there's a better chemistry there. And then in terms of this, maybe I'll keep the second line the same. Or maybe I'll move Furolov down, move Howden up. Even though Furolov's been really... actually, he hasn't been that good. Furolov's been really quiet in the playoffs this year so far by comparison to a few years ago when we won the Cup. And then defensively, can I change anything really? I could change that. I don't really want to move Ferguson down. I'm going to move Conley and Martinez, just flip them around. And I think I'm going to take Carey Price out because he's been not that great so far. And we'll turn to Jackson Robbins for the next game and give him an opportunity to play a playoff game. But I do need to put him back in still because it's going to take him out when I get to this game 3. But yeah, hopefully we can win some games on the road, because if we could win these 2 games in New York, we're going to have a tie series, and then we could maybe win on home ice, but it's going to be very tough to win in New York probably. There we go, let's change that, and everything is good to go. So Soderstrom out of the lineup, Wolsky is in, a couple of little line changes with Himalari moving down, Ivanov moving up, and Houghton and Furolov also switching spots. Hopefully that also helps our team out in terms of offense and defense, and hopefully we can get back in the series. So here we go, game number 3 in New York. We need to win both these games or else we're probably not going to win this series. First period of game 3, and we're up 2-0. I'll take that for sure. Ferguson and Malkin score. I love that. Shots are 11 apiece, so good defensive period and a very even period in terms of shots. Hopefully we can keep that up in the second period. Second period, and it's 2-1. Okay, I'll still take that. Lysak makes it a 1-goal game, beating Jackson Robbins on probably like the 19th shot. Or maybe actually a little bit earlier than that, but still. So far, so good for Jackson Robbins. Shots are 25-19. We're up 2-1. Let's see what happens here in the third period. See if we can lock this one down. Come on, boys. Let's get some insurance. I haven't seen really much from our top line in Kovalchuk, Bergeron, and Malkin except for the first round. So I might have to change up that line, like break them apart. As Kovalchuk actually, out of nowhere, scores to make it 3-1. Of course I mentioned it again and they score. And we're going to win Game 3 by a score of 3-1. A very good game from Jackson Robbins, making 29 saves. And we have a 2-1 series deficit right now that we're still trying to overcome. So Malkin from Bergeron and Kovalchuk, Ferguson from Kemp, and Kovalchuk from Bergeron and Malkin. So that top line's actually doing better than I thought. And yeah, Robbins gets first star in his first game of the playoffs. Kovalchuk the second star, and Malkin the third. I think I'm going to give Jackson Robbins another game. And then eventually after that, then once the series is tied up, if that is the case, I'll go back to Carey Price. But I still don't really trust Carey Price. I almost said Caden Price because Caden Heward's right there. So yeah, let's put Jackson Robbins back in net again, considering he had a really good first game. I don't know how consistent he is really in terms of the playoffs, but I think it's a good move to put him back in to our lineup. So we will flip-flop those again, and that is good to go. Okay, let's see if Jackson Robbins can win 2 straight games in the playoffs and have us a tie series headed home, because that would be nice. So far, the home team hasn't won a single game in this playoff round so far. Let's see what happens here in Game 4 and see if we could tie the series up. First period of Game 4, and we're down 1-0, so not the greatest start for Jackson Robbins, but it's only on 14 shots after 1, so he actually kind of kept us in the game. Shots are 14-9 in favor of the Islanders. We are down 1-0. Second period, oh my god, okay, that's not what I wanted to see. Jackson Robbins. 5-0 Islanders going into the third. Now this could be one of those games we come back and win 6-5 because I've seen it happen before in the simulation. But yeah, that is not a good period from our goalie. Maybe I should have went back to Carey Price because Ovechkin, Eaton, Safronov, and Rodriguez score. They're outshooting us 32-19, and we're down 5-0 going into the third. There's almost no chance we're going to win this, but if we came back and win 6-5, I'd be nice and happy. But I don't think that's going to happen. Because these Islanders seem like a good defensive team, so they're probably just going to lock us down. Yep, Dupuis makes it 6-0. 7-0 Ovechkin, my god. We're getting pooped on, which we really shouldn't be because we have a really good roster. 8-0 Rodriguez. And then Conley makes it 8-1. At least we broke their shutout, but 8-1, this is like the worst playoff game I've ever had in terms of assimilation. Holy crap. Wow. I might have to make some line adjustments again going into the next game considering we're on the brink of elimination. The shots were 44-30 in that game, so not that bad in terms of how the shots were in terms of differential, but we lose 8-1. Our goaltending did nothing in that game. Like, they scored 8 straight goals, and then Conley decided to score and break their shutout. Henriksen, Ovechkin, Eaton, Safronov, Rodriguez, Dupuis, Ovechkin, Rodriguez. So Ovechkin and Rodriguez had 2 goals. Everybody else had like 6 other players scored, or yeah, 6 other players scored a goal. Actually, never mind, not 6. I can't do the math right now. 4 other players. But yeah, that was not a good game. Who was really badly minus in that game? Our top defensive pairing. Okay, so our top pairing needs to be flipped around. So Wall was a -4 in that game. Kondrayev was a -3. Had a lot of -2 players. Had a couple -1 players. And then surprisingly, Conley was a +1 in that game, which I don't understand how he was. And then we had a couple even zeros, which was our top line in Ferguson. And yeah, Carey Price came in and allowed 3 goals on 12 shots. And then Jackson Robbins was terrible. I don't know what to do with our team for next game, but there's the 3 stars. Rodriguez, Ovechkin, and Lefebvre. Lefebvre's been way too good in this playoff round. I think we're going to go back to Carey Price for next game, but I'm really skeptical about it because our goaltending has not been good in this round, except for that last game we had on the 27th in Game 3. But let's make some line adjustments because that was a terrible game by the boys. Probably the worst one we've had all year. So we will flip this again, go back to the way we had it originally, I think. Wolsky's a -2 in 2 games with no points so far. Pismanen takes a lot of penalty minutes. I don't really like that. I think I'm going to take Wolsky back out and put back in Soderstrom considering he can win faceoffs. What could I do to make this flipped around? We could move... Let me try and swap Bourke with Kemp. No, that doesn't really work that well. Don Merritt's not been that good so far. I'm going to flip him and Himalari. See if Himalari can get that second line going. And then defensively, we will take our top pairing and move Kondrayev down to the bottom pairing, I think. Yeah, we'll do something like that. Move Martinez up. Make it all neutral. Go back to Carey Price. Let me just take a look at the plus minus. Our top line's good. Second line's not that great. Yeah, it's mostly our second line. I think I'll leave it like this. Because if we lose this next game, our series is pretty much done, and we'll do just a recap in terms of the records and all that stuff. We'll take a look at the awards for the final season, the retirements. But hopefully we don't lose this game. It's a home ice game. Hopefully we could just win this one and keep alive, because we need to win 3 straight games against these Islanders, which is going to be pretty tough after losing 8-1. So here we go. Potentially the last game of the series that we're going to be simulating in game number 5. Let's see if we can fight off elimination after an 8-1 loss. First period, we're tied 1-1. I like that. I'll take it. It's a lot better than 8-1. Kluberton scores and Bergeron scores for us. That's nice. Shots are 12-10 in favor of us as well. Second period, we're up 4-1. Let's go. This is definitely a good bounce back game after an 8-1 loss. Himalari scores, Ferguson scores, and Bergeron scores again. The shots are 23-17, so pretty close in shots, but we're up by 3 goals. Let's lock this one down. Steve scores to make it a 4-2 game. Come on, boys. Let's get some insurance, just because I don't feel safe with a 2-goal lead, to be honest, after the way we played last game. But it looks like we are going to survive potentially and force a game 6, which is nice. Yep, we're going to force a game 6 back in New York, which is pretty scary, but good at the same time. Shots were 40-28 in favor of us, and we won 4-2 in game 5. So Bergeron from Kovalchuk and Malkin, Himalari from Kemp and Brody, Ferguson from Kovalchuk and Martinez, and Bergeron from Kemp and Kovalchuk. So yeah, our top 6 is still playing really good. And then also moving Himalari up to that second line seems to have helped that offense on that second line a little bit. Bergeron the first star, Kovalchuk the second star, and Carey Price with a strong game gets third star. So we are going to a game 6, seeing if we can tie the series up, headed home for a game 7. That would be awesome if we could. But I don't think we're going to force a game 7. But if we do force a game 7 after losing 8-1 one game, I will be very impressed with this team's resiliency. Here we go, game number 6. Let's see if we can fight off elimination again. Come on, boys. First period of game 6. We're down 5-1 again. How are the Islanders this good offensively? During the regular season, they were worse offensively than us. Yet somehow they scored 8 goals against us, and now they've scored 5 goals against us in the first period. Carey Price is terrible. Furolov with our only goal, but Motzko scored 2 goals for them. Safronov, Ovechkin, and Eaton also score. That was 5 goals on 11 shots. We had 1 goal on 12 shots. Of course, the simulation wants to be a douche right in the last episode of the series. Second period, 6-2. This might be one of those games we come back and win 7-6, but I doubt it will be the case. Pisman scored to make it 5-2. Then Ovechkin made it 6-2. But we're down by 4 goals going into the third. We're outshooting 22-14. I don't know how they have 6 goals on 14 shots. That's ridiculous. Third period, let's see if we can come back and win it. Because I have seen comebacks before and win 7-6, but I don't think that's going to happen. Come on, boys. 6-3 Conley scores. I like that. Come on, we need 3 more. There's one from Merritt. Might be the comeback that I was mentioning. Come on. Maybe not. No, it's not going to be the case. Oh, wait. Furolov makes it a 1-goal game, and we're going to lose 6-5. We almost came back in the third period, but that is it. We are not going to win a Stanley Cup to end this series. That really sucks. This team looked a lot better than they should have, this Islanders team that we faced. Conley, Merritt, and Furolov gets the last goal in this series. We outshot them so badly, too. 42-22. Jackson Robbins came in and played actually pretty solid. Well, we're going to get eliminated in 6 games because we just could not play defense against apparently a really good offensive team in the Islanders. So Furolov from Kemp and Martinez, Pismanen from Ivanov and Martinez, and then Conley from Kemp and Ferguson, Merritt from Brody and Kondratyov, and Furolov from Kemp and Himalari. Oh, that really sucks, that game. Any badly minus players? Yeah, a couple badly minus players. We just really struggled defensively the last few games. Carey Price was awful. A .545 save percentage and a 15 goals against average. And then Jackson Robbins was really solid, actually, when he came in, for the most part. 3 stars of the game, Ovechkin, Motzko, and Furolov. Man, that really blows that we lost. I thought we had a good chance to win that series originally at the beginning, but then when we lost 2 games in a row, I was like, oh, this is not good. And then especially when we lost 8-1, I said, there's like no way we're almost going to win. Oh, that really blows. So let's take a look at our stats for the playoffs, and then we'll simulate up to the awards and take a look at all the awards. And then we'll also take a look at the record book to wrap up the series to see who had records for every single team and that sort of thing. And yeah, that sort of thing. So Kovalchuk, 12 points, 12 games. Malkin had 11 points, and Kemp had 10 points. So, yeah, our top gun is, I think we're a good offensive team in this playoff round, these playoffs so far, actually up to this point. But we just could not play defense against the Islanders, and that was what lost us this series, obviously. Couple minus players, mostly second line, it looks like, or fourth liners. And we might have taken too much penalties, I don't know. Because we got a lot of guys over 20 penalty minutes. So maybe that came back to bite us. And goalie stuff. Carey Price was terrible in that round by comparison to his first round. Jackson Robbins was actually pretty solid when he played. Oh, that really sucks. Let me just take a look at the Islanders stats. I'm kind of curious. Yeah, they have a lot of guys that are like point per game almost. And then their goaltending must be really good now. Yeah. George Lefebvre was really good for them in that round. I feel like they're going to go on to win the Stanley Cup at this rate, considering how badly they beat us. Let's simulate to the awards and all that now. See who wins the Stanley Cup. I'm going to say it's the Islanders, if I'm going to guess. And it is going to be the Los Angeles Kings. Okay, never mind. And Henderson wins the Calder Cup. So LA winning the Cup in the final season. Let's take a look at these awards. Actually, let me take a look at the playoff tree first. So LA beat the Islanders in the Stanley Cup Finals, so we are almost right in terms of our prediction. But yeah, LA goes through Anaheim, Edmonton, Nashville, and then the Islanders as well. The Islanders also went through, after us, they went through Tampa Bay in 5 games, which is pretty crazy. Let's take a look at those awards. So the LA Kings are the Stanley Cup champion for the last season. Europe wins the President's Trophy. LA and the Islanders were in the Cup Finals. In terms of individual awards, Trevor Wong is going to win the Art Ross. Anze Kopitar wins the Hart. It's not a surprise. He also wins the Stanley Cup. Jay Bouwmeester wins the James Norris. Mike Ribeiro in Nashville wins the Lady Byng. That's pretty cool. Cowan wins the Calder for Tampa Bay. He actually almost won a Stanley Cup in his rookie season too. Kopitar also wins the Conn Smythe for the LA Kings, so without Anze Kopitar from like the first-year drafters, well, actually not the first-year draft, the third-year draft. Yeah, I think it was the year 3 draft I made him for. He ends up going to win a Stanley Cup this year. Lundqvist wins the Vezina, and he also wins the William Jennings, so good for Henrik Lundqvist. Marchand wins the Bill Masterton for Philadelphia. Dag is in the Anaheim coach, wins the Jack Adams. Crosby wins the Selke, which is kind of weird because Crosby in real life I don't think has ever won a Selke because he's not a good defensive player, as good of a defensive player as offensive. Kopitar wins the Lindsay, and Ovechkin wins another Maurice Richard to rack up 3 in a row to end the series. Any awards for us in the AHL? Nope. So that is that. And now we can do a little recap to end this series. So let's take a quick look at our player stats that we have currently on our roster in terms of their entire careers before we actually get to the retirements and stuff like that. And then we'll take a look at the record book. So Bergeron, in terms of his entire career with us, he had over point per game, 1,063 points in 1,054 games. Playoff-wise, he had 86 points in 97 games. In preseason-wise, he had 104 points in 91 games. Evgeny Malkin, another integral piece to this team, 900 points in 977 games. And then in terms of playoffs, he had 77 in 97, and he also had 95 in 84 preseason games. Vladimir Furolov, who we drafted in like a 5th-round role, he had 328 points in 652 games, which is pretty good. Considering where he got drafted, 44 points in 83 playoff games, and then in the preseason, 35 points in 56 games. UC Houghton, who we signed as a free agent from the Los Angeles Kings, I believe, had 522 points in 850 games. He also did play a little bit with Los Angeles for 3 years. But when he came to us, he became like a 50, 60 point guy for the entire time. And then in terms of playoff numbers, 62 points in 92 playoff games, so not as good in the playoffs. He actually was really good the year we won the Stanley Cup, though. And in preseason-wise, 51 points in 74 games. Then we go on to our left wingers, Ilya Kovalchuk, one of the integral parts of this team as well. 1,136 points in 1,138 games, so almost point per game like he was at this point. Like when he eventually left the Atlanta Thrashers in real life and went to Russia, he was like around point per game, I'm pretty sure, so pretty realistic. And in terms of playoff numbers, he had 86 points in 96 games, so pretty good there. And preseason-wise, over point per game with 107 points in 98 games. Then Jalen Kemp, who we brought in from Europe. I don't think he ever played a game with Europe. We traded like somebody for him. He put up 348 points in 483 games, which is pretty good. A lot of assists mainly, but a very good player, especially the last season, 70 points. And then playoff number-wise, 49 points in 61 games, which is pretty good. And preseason-wise, 34 points in 45 games. And Don Merritt, who was an undrafted signing by the Boston Bruins, who we were looking at getting at one point, only played 2.5 years with us, playing 102 games with us in combined 36 goals and 39 assists for a total of, if my math is right, 75 points between the 2 years. So pretty good. And then in terms of the playoff numbers, he played 19 playoff games with us with 8 goals and 5 assists for a total of 13 points. Preseason-wise, with us, he put up 3 points in 7 games, but altogether 21 points in 37 games. Pretty good undrafted player for sure. I was actually looking to sign this guy before he actually went to Boston, but I completely forgot about him, so glad I brought him in for the last few years. Mike Himalari, another guy we brought in from free agency, spent a lot of time here from 2028-29 onwards. Pretty good stats, a little bit inconsistent around here, but he was injury prone for those 2 years a little bit, but still 710 points in his career. And then pretty good playoff numbers as well, 50 points in 80 games, really good when we won the Cup, especially with those 15 goals. And in preseason-wise, also pretty solid, 58 points. Valerie Ivanov, who was another pick we drafted in the first round way back, 200 points in 410 games, which is pretty good. More of a goal scorer than an assist man. Playoff-wise, he had 19 points in 40 playoff games, so not as good of a playoff player. And then preseason-wise, 14 points in 35 games. Pasi Pispinen, who was just getting his career started at this rate, played only 3 years in the NHL with us with 74 points in 240 games. Definitely a pretty physical player, but a solid defensive one, I would say, as well. Playoff-wise, 15 points in 40 games, and preseason-wise, 10 points in 21 games. Only 23 years old right now. Right wing-wise, Bourke, who was another signing we picked up from, I believe, the Columbus Blue Jackets in free agency. Yeah, he played a little bit with Columbus as well. But yeah, we brought him in just because he was a good potential player, and he was only like 24, I think. He had 453 points in 841 games. A bit of an inconsistent player at times. 43 points, 38 points. A couple 50-point seasons. But yeah, he was a pretty solid player for the most part. And then playoff-wise, 48 points in 89 games. Didn't really show up in the playoffs except for when we won the Cup. And preseason-wise, 38 points in 79 games. Then we also got Daryl Wolsky, who was another one of our picks. He had 112 points in 371 games, mainly as a fourth liner. He played actually really good when he played in the AHL, but he was not as great in the NHL. And in playoff number-wise, 14 points in 32 games is pretty good. He was actually really good when we won the Cup as well. And in preseason-wise, 24 points in 35 games. And to wrap up the forwards, Ulf Soderstrom had only 96 career games with 19 points. Definitely a more physical player as well. And in terms of playoff numbers, 5 points in 17 games. And preseason-wise, 3 points in 7 games. Then we go to our defensive core quickly. Gordon Ferguson, really solid defensive defenseman. He had 141 points in 492 games, but he was also a plus 126 in that short span. He was pretty much a plus player every single year except for his first year, which is really awesome. Definitely would have liked to see this guy's career pan out, but obviously we can't. But still pretty good numbers. 19 points also in 61 playoff games is pretty solid, and a plus 13. Preseason-wise, 19 points in 42 games, plus 24. And then we also got Deandre Brody, who we kind of wanted to move at one point, but we kept him around after he played a little bit in the AHL. 158 points in 685 games, a plus 19, so his plus minus definitely improved upon after the first few years, because the first few years he was really badly minus, and then eventually we were like, maybe he should just go down to the AHL. But then he came back with a pretty good defensive season for the last few years, so I like that. 17 points in 73 playoff games, 158 in 685 regular season games, and 27 in 63 preseason games. Ruslan Kondratyov, who was another Los Angeles Kings pick that we picked up in free agency at one point, was also a pretty solid defenseman, 256 points in 945 games. His plus minus was also really good the last 4 years, but when he was in Los Angeles, it was really terrible. So that's mainly why his plus minus isn't that great in his career. And playoff wise, 24 points in 79 games, and preseason wise, 33 in 82. Jalen Mull, who was one of the first picks in this franchise mode in the third round of 2021, was also pretty solid. More of a defensive defenseman with 125 points in 632 games, but his plus minus was really good, a plus 159. So yeah, he had some really good numbers when he got to the NHL in terms of plus minus. Best season being this last season where he was a plus 45. A lot of penalty minutes as well from him. And then in terms of the playoffs, he had 14 points in 86 games, plus 10, and preseason-wise, 13 points and a plus 45. Then Emmanuel Martinez, another guy that we drafted in 2025, another pretty solid defender. He was a plus 170 in his career, so a lot of good plus-minus on this team. And yeah, 156 points in 732 games, more of a defenseman for sure, but a very good one at that. And in terms of playoffs, 18 points in 86 playoff games and a plus 20. And preseason-wise, 9 points and a plus 28. And then finally, to wrap up, the defenseman Reed Conley, another defenseman we drafted. He was a plus 96 in 648 games, so another good plus-minus defenseman. Definitely more defensively minded as well, with 82 points in 648 games. 9 points in the playoffs, more goals than assists, which is kind of surprising. And he was a -2, and preseason wise, 7 points in 56 games. Then we go to the goalies quickly. Carey Price was really an interesting goalie. He was good during the regular season for the most part, but playoff numbers, He went 295, 202, and 27, and 37 ties, 26 shutouts, and 902 save percentage, and a 2.9 goals against average. His best season being the one where he had 45 wins for sure. And then playoff-wise, he wasn't really that great. 31, 27, and 5. 8 shutouts, which is nice, and a 905 save percentage, and a 2.91 goals against. Preseason-wise, he was dominant for sure. And then Jackson Robbins, who was another goalie that only came into the NHL recently. He was more of an AHL goalie for us, but 17, 10, and 1 in his career. And he also had 3 shutouts, a 905 save percentage, and a 2.78 goals against, which is pretty good. And also pretty solid playoff numbers, too, in terms of simulation. Only 1 preseason game as well. Because mainly we played Brian Elliott as our backup goalie to Carey Price. But that is a little rundown on that. We still got a little bit to do, so we're almost at like an hour long of this video. So hopefully it's not too long for you guys. But let's sim to the retirements to find out who retires first before we take a look at all the records. We'll kind of skim through the records more so. So Florida's got first overall, not that that matters. Okay. So who's going to retire for this last season? Any of our players or not? So Jerome McGinley and Tanguay Sedin are the big retirements. Simon Gagne also retired in LA and won a Stanley Cup, which is realistic because that actually happened in real life, I'm pretty sure. Actually, maybe no, it didn't fully, but Arneson, Gomez. Yeah, this is a pretty big retirement class. None of our players probably because we're still kind of a younger team. But there is all the retirements. I'll just scroll through this. I won't read them all out just because there's too much of them. And that should be it, I think. If that's it on that front. And goalie-wise, the best goalie to retire is J.S. Giguère and Roberto Luongo. Nick Backstrom also there. Sanford, Denis, Ald, and Konstantinov actually played only a couple of games in the NHL, like real life. So that's the retirement class for this year. And that is good. Alex Tanguay is now a scout, which is kind of interesting in case you guys wanted to know about that. And now let's take a look at the record book, and then that'll be it for this entire series. So we're going to just skim through some of these, but basically, yeah, we're just going to skim through most of this because or else this video is going to be way too long. But you guys can pause this video at any time just to take a look at who had the best records across each team. We'll go to the Atlanta Thrashers last just because why not? So there is Anaheim in terms of season, rookie records, and game records. Anything you want to bring up in the comments, let me know. And then we go to the Boston Bruins quickly as well. But yeah, we're going to go to us last just because that's where it matters probably more. Buffalo Sabres, Calgary Flames, Carolina Hurricanes. But yeah, hopefully there's some interesting stats that you guys could find in this. But I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to be watching this late in the video, so I don't know. It seems like a lot of the guys... It seems like a lot of the guys you'd expect to have all-time records on each team. Detroit, Craig Anderson, huh? Henrik Zetterberg. Yeah, definitely a lot of the guys you'd expect. Now, some of these guys obviously didn't get to play that long, so guys like Mary Lemieux won't have team records for like Pittsburgh, which is kind of weird, but Luongo up there, not a surprise. There's the LA Kings, Minnesota Wild, Marian Gaborik, of course. Montreal, Markov up there, Jan Bullis up there in points. Nashville, obviously Alex Ovechkin being the main guy. New Jersey, probably Brodeur, I would assume, in some of these things. Yeah, Martin Brodeur up there in shutouts and up there in career wins and all that stuff, not a surprise. The New York Islanders. Here's the New York Rangers. It's cool seeing like some of these players that actually went to their teams, like Scott Gomez going to the Rangers, I think it said. Philadelphia. Phoenix, Teppo Numminen, seen his name a decent amount. Rico Fata up there. Pavel Markov, that guy that won the Conn Smythe against us when we lost. Or not against us, but when we lost to them. St. Louis, Patrick Lalime. Chris Pronger with a lot of awards, or a lot of things in St. Louis. Tampa Bay. Toronto, Robert Esch. Matt Sedin, not a surprise. Nick Antropov up there and all that stuff. Wow. Daniel Sedin in Vancouver. And Washington to wrap that up. There you go. That is all the that. And now let's go to our records now, which is the more important thing. So, most points in a career. Ilya Kovalchuk, 1,136. Not a surprise. Kovalchuk also in the number of seasons with 14. Assist-wise, Bergeron led with 703. Games played-wise is Kovalchuk with 1,138. Penalty minute-wise is Malkin with 1,639. Jeez. Shutout-wise was Carey Price with 26. Win-wise was Carey Price with 275. And Kovalchuk was goals with 465. Season records, the most games played in a season was Jeff Odgers. Well, anybody who played 82, pretty much. Shutout-wise was Carey Price with 5 shutouts. Penalty minute-wise was Brendan Witt way back in 2024 with 187. Goal-wise was Ilya Kovalchuk when he scored that 49-goal season in 2031. Point-wise was Bergeron with 109 one year in 2032. Assist-wise was Bergeron when he had 73 assists, also in 2032. And win-wise was Carey Price when he had 42 wins in a season. Rookie record-wise, Ilya Kovalchuk had the most assists in rookie season, which was year 1. Jan Lasik the most shutouts, which was year 1. Goals was Mark Savard with 25 in year 1, even though he wasn't technically a rookie. Jan Lasik also most wins by a rookie with 15 in 2022. In points by a rookie, Kovalchuk was 75. That stuff is not really that accurate because some of those guys weren't rookies. And then in game records, the most saves in a game was Jan Lasik in 2022 with 48 saves. 2021, Kovalchuk had the most assists in a game with 5. Most points in the game was Kovalchuk in that 2021 game with 6. And most goals in the game was Malkin with 4 goals in 2027. Interesting. And then in terms of the NHL records, don't think any of these guys are going to actually get up there yet. But yeah, I don't think any of the guys that I made are going to get up there, unfortunately. Just because, yeah, we went not as long as I thought I was going to. So that is the record book, and that is going to do it for this Atlanta Thrashers franchise mode. So I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching the series. If you watched through it all, it was a lot of fun, and I'm very excited to get into NHL 22 and doing franchise mode with it, especially doing custom roster franchise modes coming in 2022. So stay tuned for those. Let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.